there are things in the world around you that influence your brain, including other people.
How we act and who we are in our lives is hugely determined by the expectations of the people around us.
The brain helps us be the most social species on the planet. A lot of our brains are devoted to understanding other people.
Our brain doesn't operate in isolation. We constantly learn, take, compare to other brains.
Our brains have evolved to be able to effortlessly reason about other people. And emotions, similarly, have evolved as ways that guide our behavior.
So how exactly do emotions and the emotions of others influence our brains? Neuroscientist Luke Chang studies how emotions like greed and guilt affect our decision-making. Luke scans the brains of study participants while they play a game from behavioral economics called the trust game.
This is a cooperative game where one person has some sum of money and they can choose to invest any amount of that money in their partner.
That investment grows. So then the study participant has to decide. They could be greedy and keep all the money, or they could be generous and give some of the investment back.
We've always been really interested in why do people return the money when they don't have to? And guilt provides one plausible mechanism that might be driving their behavior to act cooperatively in this game.
So you're balancing and making these decisions between getting that kind of dopamine reward hit from being a little selfish versus being balanced by those feelings of maybe guilt when you're not cooperating or helping somebody else out.
And the brain scans reveal which parts of the brain are most active when someone is feeling guilt.
Those regions ended up being something called the insula. Signals about having this gut feeling that maybe this isn't a good idea or I'd feel really bad if I did that. Those are the signals that are originating from the insula that allow us to make decisions to avoid harming someone else.
Luke likes to think of it kind of like a thermometer and a thermostat.
If you try to think about how a thermostat might be mapped onto the brain, one region might be more like the thermometer detecting the ambient temperature in the room.
When it comes to reading the room, our brain's thermometer seems to be the insula.
But all that information needs to go somewhere else and be integrated with other types of information.
That's our brain's thermostat, a region located inside the prefrontal cortex that processes our emotions and helps regulate our behavior. And while your thermostat can usually help you take control of your emotions, what would happen if it went out?
Phineas Gage was a railroad foreman working in Vermont. One day, while he was handling gunpowder with an iron rod, an accident caused serious damage to his brain. At first, it seemed like a miracle. He retained his memory, language abilities, and motor control. But soon, his friends noticed changes. His life began to unravel. He struggled to keep a job, lost his friends, and became more irritable. His behavior became inappropriate as he lost some ability to control his emotions and actions. Years later, neuroscientists mapped the damaged areas of his brain, discovering that regions involved in emotional regulation were affected, which explains his social challenges. This was a key moment in the history of neuroscience. People realized that not only motor function, memory, and language reside in the brain, but also that personality and morality, the things that make you who you are located there as well. We all intuitively know that emotions impact our decisions. So what additional information does this provide us? Much of the scientific work on studying emotions in decision-making has focused on how emotions lead us to make bad decisions, perhaps even irrational ones. However, that's not necessarily true. If your goal is to avoid harming others and to act in your personal interest, emotions actually help us make better decisions. We are, in fact, the company we keep because other people bring out parts of us and reinforce us in particular ways. How you make decisions, how you behave, how you think about yourself, all these processes develop by imitating, interacting, and synchronizing with other brains. One thing we all share as human beings is that social life and contact are incredibly important parts of what our brains process. Our brains are influenced in detail by every experience we have. Every moment, every sentence, every image changes our brains.